Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is Wednesday, my dude. It is Wednesday. And I decided to do something a little different than I've been doing since coming back. Which is, let me see if I can adjust it here in the camera. Instead of trying to apply enough product to flatten my hair, I went with volume. I naturally kind of have poofy, curly hair. It's Tuesday. Last 72 hours have been a lot. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. Whew. It's Tuesday, and I went with volume. That's the important thing. I got my scruff on top. I got my beard here, but I also have a tan, which kind of makes it look like very deliberate, you know. Okay, it's a burn. Okay, we'll call it what it is. It's a burn. And you know, I'm sure we'll be bringing this up throughout the next little bit. Is everyone doing all right? Is everyone doing okay? The last 72 hours have been incredibly stressful in so many ways. For any of you who haven't been on the internet, there's been an enormous volume of sexual assault, harassment, allegations. These are all people in the streaming and Twitch and gaming sphere. There was a Wizards of the Coast artist that was cut ties with game developers, streamers, YouTubers. I mean, and I was talking about this before, that there's really not a good centralized place to go to get a lot of this news. I was talking about how on Sunday I went outside. That's why my face is a little burned, except for a mask-shaped covering here. I did that and was like, hey, I've had a good time outdoors. And then I hopped on Twitter and whoosh. And I mean, it is, first of all, let me just say, for any of you who are unaware, and I mean, obviously, I think a lot of you are totally in tune with this, women in gaming do receive a lot of just general passes, treatment, not as a worker or a gamer, but as someone to maybe date, maybe we'll hook up, etc., etc. And it is really not something that a lot of men deal with. Really not something. And you know, I went to an all-guys high school. I went to a college that was predominantly male. I've been in the gaming community a long time, which is predominantly male. And there's a lot of young men that I think they just really don't understand boundaries. And I think it's important that it gets talked about, and that, you know, you understand that if you misstep, you gotta take responsibility, you gotta apologize, you know. That's important. And I think a lot of people make mistakes with boundaries, certainly. And you just apologize. I mean, you know, if you watch a movie and like the world's ending, and out of the blue the male protagonist grabs the female protagonist and just kisses her, and oh my god, her body sinks into his, you know, and there's this like, oh yeah, you know, there's these moments of passion, and you just make the move. And I mean, you know, frankly, just putting your arm on someone, sometimes they just don't want that, you know? There's like a real mismatch of how forms of romance and touching can be portrayed in media versus like how it's important to treat it in real life, you know? Gosh, I mean, and I'm sorry, I'm going to get distracted multiple times. I'm going to get distracted. I'm going to go on tangent multiple times, but let me try to make sure I come back to this point. Well, I wanted to begin with, I hope everyone's doing okay. The sheer volume and the horror of a lot of stories is very heavy, and it's a lot to deal with. It's very heavy. And alongside this, OPG had tons of their top streamers and broadcasters leave the organization due to allegations against the CEO. Mixer just decided to up and shut down. For any of you, has anyone not heard this news that Mixer's like shutting down? It's insane. It's insane. And I think that when there's this... and by the way, do you recall there's a pandemic going on? I don't know if you have heard of this fucking pandemic. There is so much... and literally every few seconds I'm going to remember a new one. Because like I said, I'm going to be getting distracted a lot. You know, there's the protests against police brutality, against racism. And, you know, the thing is that all of these things are so important, incredibly important, and affect a lot of people. And I'm increasingly calling something the organism problem. The organism problem. I have dealt with stress, traumatic experiences in life. I'll take the death of a loved one. There's what I'm going to call the human pace of tragic experience, where you feel the pain of the tragedy, and then there's some normalness. And then you feel that pain, and then there's some normalness. You have some good days, you have some bad days. There's the human pace that occurs with that. Have any of you ever had the death of a loved one? I mean, I think you know my rather public feelings about, Jeff. I've talked about my grandfather and my grandmother. Those experiences they take a long time to unpack and to get through all of that stuff. And I think that the organism problem that I think a lot of people are dealing with is that there's so much volume of stuff. There's so much volume of things that I like this word. It's important to be really disciplined with yourself. There are a great many causes and a great many things to care about, to contribute to affect change towards. But you're an organism, and it's important to be disciplined with yourself. It's kind of just like with working out, right? If you work out and then you stop for the day. Then you work out, then you stop from the day. And over a many period of days of doing that, over a year, you're fit, I think for a lot of people, I gotta say, I've been just so proud of so many of you who have been speaking out and supporting, particularly with respect to supporting protesters. And that's good. And you don't want to burn yourself out. You don't want to put yourself in a position where you can only be a contributor to what you really care about for 48 hours before you're totally roasted. And I think one of the great ways that people get support and get what they need is by coming to streams, by coming to communities. Come places like this, you're always welcome to come here and get some support. Maybe you want to talk about things a little bit. Maybe you don't want to talk about things a little bit. I got you, okay? I got you. Come on in. Come on, hang out. We love you here. We have just a wonderful community. We have really wonderful mods who've been coordinating with us. Oh, God, I'm so grateful to all the wonderful Day 9 TV mods. You guys are just fantastic. We're going to get through all this together. And I really hope you're all doing okay. I know a lot of these stories that are on Twitter can bring back a lot of personal memories for many of you that are stressful. And I know there's just so much to unpack. And I liked this metaphor that a lot of times stress and processing, what is that? What is stress and processing? Or excuse me, the processing of stressful events. I like to view it as it's like a ball of yarn, a ball of twine. You see that? You ever seen one of those? And it just looks like there's 1,000 little threads in there. That's what it can feel like during periods of emotional turmoil where you're hearing really horrible news. And before you've even begun to think about this, more things come up. It's just, like Nakatomi says, it's like the great ball of twine from Sam and Max. And when you process, you just start to unravel that ball of twine. You start to unravel that ball of twine. And when you're done with it, you just see that, oh, there was a red string, a green string, and a blue string, and that was it. These are the three things that are the takeaways and that I understand. And if you've ever tried to unravel a ball of twine, it takes a long fucking time. And it's exhausting. You're unraveling and unraveling and unraveling, and there's tight spots and there's knots. Sometimes you get fed up and you set it aside. And I like to think of that as the discipline. You want to work for a little bit, you want to set it aside, you want to not unravel for a little bit. You want to take it back, you want to work for a little bit, and you want to keep putting yourself in the situation where you can treat yourself properly and treat others properly by dealing with it and focusing on it and stopping, because you need to, if you want to enact goodness and change, it's going to be just like trying to get in shape, you know? It's going to be like having to do effort every single day. And most importantly, giving yourself the space to contribute to that on a daily basis. So I hope you're all doing okay. I really, really, really sincerely mean that. I've been a little stressed, as you can imagine. Just the sheer volume of stuff. God. And I mean, I know we briefly talked about Mixer. I mean, holy fuck. Holy fuck. I've been doing this for a long time. The primary platform where I stored my VODs, that shut down. Many, many years ago. Blip, if many of you remember, blip.tv. Poof, up and away. And it's really, I feel so much for all those streamers on Mixer who God, you're someone who's working so hard to grow your community, to be good to your community, and then poof, it's gone. It's very, very unsettling. Very unsettling. I mean, I especially feel bad for a lot of the Mixer broadcasters, because if you're a broadcaster, you have your stream, maybe your archive on YouTube, and you have live events. Coronavirus comes down. I had shitloads of my work up and deleted. A lot of streamers had a shitload of their work up and deleted. And then, all of a sudden, your platform that you're on, up and deleted. Jesus. I think that's very scary for a lot of those people. And it actually happens really, really way more commonly than you want to think of. So hey, if there's any Mixer streamers in here, man, come on in, hang out here. I hope that there's some Mixer streamers that I've never heard of that we can host here. And if any of you know of any Mixer streamers moving to Twitch, maybe we'll just ship them some viewers. Maybe we'll just help them grow a little bit, you know.